guys, what is good? Welcome to my channel, welcome back. If you've been here before, you're a keeper and you're tuned into London Living. That is me. Hello. Hiya. So as you may or may not have seen, I did upload my birth vlog. I was a bit apprehensive about putting it out in general just because it's something really special, but also I want it there just in case, you know, God forbid my phone dies and I haven't got the footage anymore. I put that out there and it got such a good response. All of your messages, basically people were asking for more information, wanted me to go a little bit deeper into it because obviously it was very hectic at the time. I've prepared some of the questions that I've been asked and I thought I would go through them and actually talk a little bit more in depth about my birth story. Now, it's a very chill day today, so we've got no makeup, we just stuck some lashes on. I always go to the Primark to get these individual lashes, they're so good, and then I just use hair glue to stick them on. So professional of me. But we're literally in comfies, just chilling because, you know, mum life and all that. Okay, so I mentioned previously in my video that we had an appointment. It was my last appointment with the stroke doctors before having the baby. I didn't know if it was going to be the last appointment, but it was officially the last appointment. And I met with the doctor, she's lovely, and basically she said that, actually let me turn this down again, the brightness is too bright. All looks well, we think it's going to be a natural birth, so unless anything happens during the labour, you're good to go. And sort of signed me off, and that was that. As I was leaving the hospital, I almost felt like I was wetting myself and I was so embarrassed. I can't control my bladder, it's got to the stage where I'm really struggling. And Dave was like, you're walking so fast, slow down, Georgie. So I slowed down, but I was just weeing myself at this stage. So I was like, no babe, I need to like get to the car. Placed it in front of him whilst he paid for parking, and then got home, changed myself, had a shower, and then put some clothes on. I put a pad on as well actually, just in case, because I thought this baby's too heavy, this bladder is not in control right now. Anyway, it wasn't the bladder in the end, but we move. And then it came to the 6th of February. Now this is the day I ended up actually going into hospital. Because with birth, you don't necessarily have like a gush of waters and then that's your waters breaking. It can trickle. You've got front water and hind waters. I'm no expert, so if any of this information is wrong, don't judge me. But you have front waters and hind waters. So if your front waters break, it trickles. If your hind waters break, it gushes. Could be the other way around, but one of them. So my front waters broke, potentially, if it's right. So my front waters broke, and that's why it felt like I was weeing myself rather than the gush that I thought I would feel. Then the 6th came, 6th of Feb, and I was a bit like, oh, I woke up in the morning and checked, you know, the lady parts, and there was what I wasn't aware of, my mucus plug, but I thought, oh, is that what that is? And basically, it sounds so grim, but it's basically a discharge that looks a bit red. It's like pinky, reddy, but I think it comes in different colours. So basically saw that and was like, is that what I think it is? I don't know. And at this point, I'd sort of stopped weeing myself. And then a little bit later in the afternoon, I weed myself again and I thought, yeah, no, this is just me wetting myself, it has to be. It's so funny because I put on the girls group chat, keep weeing myself, and one of the girls has just had a baby and was like, you should probably go get that checked. Anyway, then I rang my mum and I was just sort of talking to her before about to jump into the shower to get my hair washed, because it was hair wash day. Typical, because washing your hair as a pregnant lady is quite a task. So it was hair wash day and I just sort of started speaking to her about what was going on, and she was like, Georgie, you need to go to the hospital. She was like, look, show me. I was like, what do you mean, mum? She was like, show me what you're talking about. Show me the mucus plug that you're talking about. So I did, so I showed her and yes, Georgie, call the hospital, let them know you think you're in the early stages of labour, pre-labour, and then head over there. If they say to head over. Anyway, I called them and believe it or not, they said yes, head over to us. Me and Dave, we didn't really think it was happening, but obviously kind of knew it was happening. It was just bizarre. It was like a weird moment because we thought that it would be this like, I'm going into labour, run. But there's just so many different symptoms that you don't know what you're going to get. So we got to the hospital, went to triage. It took ages to find it because this hospital is huge. It was literally a maze. So we went to triage. As you saw probably from the video, if you've seen it, we were sort of waiting there. Saw the nurse. She checked. She just sort of said, spread your legs, let's have a look. I did, and as soon as I did that, she was like, I don't even need to check, like, yes, your waters have broke. She was like, you've got literally most of the symptoms that you get minus the bleeding, because sometimes you can bleed and that's a signal. She was like, but apart from that, you've got majority of the symptoms. Like, how didn't you know? Hun. Then it was just sort of a waiting game. Because my waters had broke, they didn't want to send me away because you can get infection, and especially because it had been 24 hours. Basically said, look, you just need to stay here now. So Dave went home, grabbed loads of bits, went to KFC. I've been saying him to, like, for days to get the car cleaned for when the baby's ready, and he didn't get the car cleaned, so he went and got the car cleaned, but I wasn't going anywhere, so that was fine. And then he came back. I was getting like, what I thought was Braxton Hicks contractions, but actually it turns out they were real contractions. They were just really slight, and then they sort of got a little bit worse as time was going on, but nothing unbearable. They were saying about doing something called pristine gel, if I've said that right, and that basically goes into your hoo-ha and sort of loosens and softens the cervix to help push labour forward. They then tried to put a cannula in me. I think one of the ladies was new that was trying to do it, but she was being guided by someone else, and it just wasn't going in. And I'm not a fainter, but as soon as I was watching this, I was like, even if I look away, I know what they're doing and I know it's going wrong. Not wrong, but it's not happening. That was the last I remember, and then I fainted and I woke up and there was 7 of them in the room. Honestly, I caused drama since the minute I got there, and I was like, what's going on? I just passed out, because I did say I feel a bit funny, I think I might faint, so they were sort of prepared anyway. But I haven't felt that feeling in so long, where you go cold and it's horrible. But yeah, fainted. I was like, this is the easy stuff. Like, I've got to still give birth. What is going to happen then? So cannula's in. I'm sort of raring to go now. I just needed to await the doctors to come and see me. So we basically went into another room on the ward, 4 beds in the room. There was just me and Dave in there. So it was really nice, because then he got a bed that he could sleep on, and we sort of slept until the evening. I ate the KFC that he got, and then we just sort of chilled out in there and just caught up on sleep before, obviously, we knew what was coming the next day. I started timing my contractions. It's an app called Contraction Timer. I'll link that, where you can time the steps in between your contractions. Obviously, the more dilated you are, the better. And you're only in labour once you're 4 centimetres dilated. So at this stage, I was only 2 or 3. So I wasn't quite there yet to start focusing on what my labour was going to look like. Originally, I was going to be in the birthing suite, but I went to the delivery room instead, just because I was contemplating having an epidural. I wasn't too fussed about having the baby in a bath. Originally, I wanted to, but in the end, I was just like, do you know what? I think it's going to be effort. These things happen. You can plan it to a T, and then things changed, which is why I purposefully didn't plan anything. Like, I literally said from the get-go, I don't want to make a plan. So I wanted like a little bit less structure and just to go with the flow, see what happened and go from there. And I think that really helps, to be honest, because it helps me anyway. It might not help you, but it really helped me because it just made me more relaxed. I didn't have a pre-planned idea of what my labour would look like. So yeah, it was nice, to be honest with you, because then I was sort of open to whatever they were offering. Yeah, I got into that room. They gave me some codeine and paracetamol because I started to feel the contractions a little bit heavier. They put me on a drip as well then, so we didn't put the one in my Lady Garden. Lady Garden, who says that? Where did that come from? Anyway, we didn't do that one. We put in a drip instead. I can't remember what the drip was called. If you know, pop it down below. But that was to help basically induce labour. They advised that obviously I wouldn't be giving birth in the birthing suite, which was fine. I'll be giving birth in the labour ward. So doctors basically could monitor me, the baby, just because it had been 24 hours. So I said, that's fine, like, I'd rather that and know that the baby's safe, so it's all good. 6 o'clock in that evening, a nurse basically came to me and said they're still waiting for a midwife, come and supply the drip, just to help push along the process. So that was why I was waiting for that drip. And then I was assigned my first midwife. So my first midwife was Libby. She basically was the one that was informing me of all the details, and then I would get an actual midwife assigned directly to me. 8 o'clock, got put in the room next to the reception, that's on the labour ward. It was literally right next to reception, so super convenient. I changed into my gown and socks. Even that is a whole moment. Okay, this is kicking in now, like it's hitting home that I'm going to be giving birth soon. What the heck. Then got an official midwife, so we met some of the midwives, but actually got an official midwife for the day that was going to be looking after me, and her name was Blessing. And I was like, yes, what a great name for a midwife, like what a great name. But she was lovely. She was Nigerian, so we were literally talking about all kinds of food, because I cook a lot of Nigerian food. If you don't know, my partner's background is Nigerian. I had to learn to cook all the good stuff, but the food in Nigeria, yes, now we're talking. Anyway, so we were just talking about food for God knows how long, but she was lovely. They were so backed up with people giving birth that actually they didn't have any doctors or midwives available, which is why it took so long to get into one of the rooms. But then by the time I was in the room, I was the only one in the whole ward giving birth. All of them were full and occupied, and then all of a sudden everyone gave birth, probably not at the same time, but majority of them had given birth. Then by the time the last one had finished, I then was transferred to that room and I was the only one giving birth. So it was really, really strange, like how things happen. And I'm kind of superstitious, so I was a bit like, oh, this is weird. And then I had a really good night's sleep. Dave obviously got a lot of sleep, as you probably saw if you'd watched the video. And then the next day I had a sweep check. So sweep checks are done. You don't have to have them done, but I would advise. Basically what the midwife does is basically checks how dilated you are by spreading, I think. I don't know, it's quite a talent. It's not painful or anything, it was absolutely fine. It's the most action I'm going to get during labour. I was only 2 centimetres dilated, and this is after the drip, so I was like, oh, what is going on? I was in and out of sleep for quite a while, and then she said, look, we're going to have to like do more stuff to try and speed this along. So I said, okay, fine, what's the plan? There's this strong one we can put you on a drip for. I'm just concerned that you've been in like early stages of labour, pre-labour for quite a while now. So I said, yeah, okay, let's do it. And she said, look, whatever pain relief you want, the most you want, I would always go for that, just in case. The most you can get is an epidural. And I'd heard loads of scary stories about it. Mum had said that your legs go numb, so I was like, oh, I don't know if I'd like that. She said everyone always ends up going for the epidural in the end, like they try and firm it, but then I just thought, well, what's the point of firming it if I know I'm going to be in pain either way? I may as well go for the strongest pain relief, no? So anyway, so I did. Best decision I've made, to be honest with you. Obviously everyone's different. This is not me promoting it at all, but it worked for me and it literally made labour a dream. I can't deny. So yeah, so I had the epidural. The anaesthetist came down, the guy that was going to inject my back, sat on the edge of the bed. So you've got your backless gown on anyway. So he was like, right, sharp scratch into the back. It might make you sick. So, okay, great. So I was prepared for that. So yeah, they put a cannula in your back which is attached to a drip, and then that's the epidural. I did throw up. Shout out to Dave for catching that. Poor guy. He saw me go through it like this. He saw me go through it. They give you a button, so I wasn't aware of this, but they give you a button that basically every time you feel a contraction coming or some kind of pain, you press the button and it sends like a cold sensation down your spine, and that's the epidural working basically. You can still move your feet, which I was unaware of. Your legs feel numb, and obviously your lady parts feel numb as well. Your lady garden, as I would say. I actually can't cope. That was the epidural going in, and honestly, this button, it regenerates every 20 minutes, so every 20 minutes you can press it again. So literally for the duration of my labour then, up until I was 10 centimetres dilated and nearly crowning, I didn't feel a contraction. I mean, like, what more could you ask for? It was insane, absolutely insane. It meant that I could sleep. I was kind of in a better headspace because I wasn't stressing, I wasn't overly thinking about anything. I was really just in my element for the epidural, and I bragged about it to every single person that came in and out of that room. Guys, what have you given me? This is sensational. They then put a catheter on me. Not had a catheter fitted before, so that wasn't different. Again, I was numb down there, so I don't know what that felt like. I think it was about 11:45 in the evening, so nearly midnight. And then that was that. I was ready to go sleep. So I went to sleep, woke up the next day, which was the 7th. Now this is the date that the baby was due. Obviously didn't know this at the time. Originally they were due on the 15th. So yeah, we went in quite early. We went in 10 days early into hospital. I knew they were ready. I've been saying it for weeks that they're coming early. I can just sense it, and they've dropped quite early as well. Then I was in and out of sleep sort of till about 2 p.m. the next day. Obviously at this stage, because it's labour, you don't know if you need to go into and have cesarean, so you can't eat anything. So obviously I'd thrown up twice. The KFC that I had disappeared out my system. I was so hungry at this point. They kept bringing around food. I just kept giving it to Dave. I was so upset, so upset. All I wanted was just to eat, and it smelled so good. He was like, it's not nice, but I don't know if he was saying that to make me feel better or it actually wasn't nice. And then the midwives came to check on me probably about 2:21, I would say, like 20 minutes after, and basically said like I'd been having constant contractions. At this point I had no idea, because obviously the epidural was just kind of covering it all. She was like, did you feel that? I went, feel what? And she was like, that contraction. I was like, I'm not contracting. She was like, tell me when you're contracting. I'm like, I'm not. She went, you are on the system. Yeah, so I clocked it was because it was just such good pain relief. Amazing. Only thing I felt symptom-wise that I got was I got really itchy skin. I was like this, like constantly, literally constantly. Is it making you itch now? I feel like when someone says itch, I just need to scratch. So yeah, so they gave me an antihistamine, and that sort of died that down. But that was really the only symptom I got sort of during labour. I mean, what more do you want? Then at 5 a.m. I had another check, and finally I was 5 centimetres dilated, so I was in the labour window now. I'm actually in labour, raring to go. That was obviously 5 a.m. It got later and later, but 8:20 I had a swap with my midwife, so my night shift midwife left. Then I got Linda come in, so my next midwife. Again, lovely, nicest people. By 9 a.m. I was 6 centimetres dilated. I had some antibiotics, so I was having antibiotics fed through a drip just because my waters had broke so early that they didn't want baby to get an infection. And then at 1:15 I was 9 centimetres dilated, so I was literally 1 centimetre to go before I had to push. And that's when you would have seen on the last bit of the video. At 5 p.m. I met with the doctors. It was like our final check, and I could feel like I wanted to push. Like at this stage I was like, no, I need to push, like this needs to happen now. They were like, just hold off, Georgie, it's okay, like you don't have to push yet, you're on the epidural, the baby is not there yet, but you'll be pushing soon. At 6 p.m. they confirmed I was 10 centimetres dilated. I was ready then to push. I started to crown, and that's when it was like, go. I have never seen so many midwives in one room. Honestly, everyone was in there. If you'd watched my last video, you'll know that it was just like a whole moment. They were just really spurring me on. It was actually amazing. It was so incredible. It was time to push. Now, because I had the epidural, you can't really feel yourself pushing. So they were like, right, just pretend you're doing a really big poo. I was like, okay. different. I did, and I was pushing for 40 minutes. It's basically you breathe normally, and then when you feel a contraction, you hold your breath, take a deep breath, and then just push, literally just push with all your body. I had my legs on stirrups as well. My legs were elevated, which helps because then I was like crunched into position. Once that had happened, was like, I can't feel myself pushing, guys. Like, you're saying push, but am I pushing? They were like, you're pushing, don't worry, you've got this. Everyone was throwing me on. Dave in my ear going, you've got this, like push, push, push. I was just like, ah. And then the next thing was one of my biggest fears. They said the umbilical cord is around the baby's neck. And I only remembered this recently because the whole thing was a bit of an out of body experience. I feel like I went blind at one stage. I couldn't like see properly and all sorts. I was pushing that hard. But they said the umbilical cord was around the baby's neck, and that is my worst fear. So at that stage, I was like, no, like I need to get this baby out. Like this big baby needs to come out of me right now. I do not want anything to happen to this poor child whilst I'm giving birth. So that was like a bit of a wake-up call. The doctor came in. I said, like, what can we do? We need to get the baby out. She was like, I'm gonna either use the clamp to get it out or the suction cup. So I was like, let's try the suction cup. Like, let's do this. Like, let's get this baby out. So did a slight tear for me because there just wasn't enough room. You know, I've been working on my pelvic floors and all that. I hate myself so much, so much. Anyway, so she basically said we're gonna have to do a little incision and try and get this baby out. I was like, fine, just cut me. Like, I don't care, just get this baby out, this poor baby. Contracting, you just push. So they pushed, they grabbed the baby's head, got the baby out, and then that was it. Like, the whole world of mine just changed in an instant. It was just magical. Dave announced that we had a little boy. The baby's then placed on your chest, and it's just like, I can't, makes me want to cry now. It's the most magical feeling to have a partner on one side, your baby on the other, and it's just like, I can't even explain it. Like, it actually makes me emotional just thinking about it. It's by far my biggest and greatest achievement. Like, look at me. This is probably because I've still got hormones in my system. Oh, wow, I didn't think I'd cry talking about this. But honestly, it is just such a blessing to have a baby, to know that I've created something. Half of me, half of Dave. Kyrie is his name, if you didn't know. Kyrie is so gorgeous. Like, I know you're supposed to say that about your own baby, but honestly, even his character's already coming out, and I'm like, oh god, it's literally me 2.0. Poor baby. The funniest faces, honestly, and I'm like really facially expressive, so this poor kid is gonna be the same. It's just amazing, and I had the best experience. I'm so grateful, so grateful, and motherhood has been absolutely amazing. Like, my baby is a week old today. I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it, and he's growing so much, it's a joke. I can't even keep up. But yeah, I thought I'd come on and like officially share the story. I know I spoke over it briefly and you saw like clips and snippets, but I thought I'd just share sort of everything about it. I literally, like, whilst I was in there as well, I was taking notes of like what was happening, just because doctors were constantly asking me, when did this happen, when did this happen? And I was like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4. I am so grateful. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Mum over and out.